On the release of the final chapter of Celestia, we got Esmeralda to go along with it. You thought like since it's the final chapter you will release a Raw because Raw has thematic fitting with the final chapter, but no, we get straight to the Esmeralda, which have been more thematically fitting when we get the final chapter of the Ember Flame story, so Anyway, the new unit for this time is Esmeralda, a new champion of memories, and she is a dagger DPS. Although her gimmick is a bit unique from the other past dagger DPS though, it doesn't really make her super stronger stand out or anything, but... So to quickly explain Esmeralda how she works really quick, she has a passive, a unique status called Laceration, and when you inflict Laceration you do it through attack and stuff. At 9 Laceration, you have 2 ways to turn it into Deep Wound, and once Laceration is getting turned to Deep Wound, Esmeralda gain permanent self-double cast, so you can kind of imagine her as like a Hikari but debuff instead of buffing. As for how one inflict laceration, there's many ways to do this. The basic passive would just let you inflict laceration on any basic attack, which this was like any normal attack so that you can do it even faster. Like if she was getting a buff, this would be like the one thing I wanted to get buff rather than just like do it through a basic attack, but as for other two passive 1 is whenever you add 9 laceration, this is the first way to inflict deep wound to the enemy. Whenever you add 9 laceration and the enemy is broken, they will turn the laceration, reduce the countdown to 1, but also inflict deep wound. Deep wound exists to, well, it also like increase bleed damage, but like the bleed damage in this game kind of sucks, so it doesn't really matter. But it's mainly there to help Esmeralda use double cast skill, so... The second skill is like an FUA, although it's not really an FUA, it's more like a countdown. Whenever you use any skill with a boost point, you gain a 1 turn countdown. At the end of the turn, you do a 1-hit AoE that also inflict laceration, so another step to get closer to inflicting deep wound. And then her touch point passive granted double cast. And then you have the ultimate, where the ultimate is just... surprisingly, it's not like per hit, like I don't know why the dev was like too harsh on Esmeralda Kid or something. It's a 6-hit single target dagger with implant, so you're always hitting weakness. However, it's actually inflict just 1 laceration, not 1 laceration per hit. This is inflicting 1 laceration for the entire ultimate. You would thought like an ultimate skill would be strong, right? But nah. My bad. No, it's just a 1-hit laceration. Even if they made like the ultimate inflict 6-hit laceration, she would not be as like top tier meta. But like I don't know why they're so harsh on Esmeralda Kid for some reason though. But sadly this ultimate sucks, so besides the damage, but you just rather use the normal skill instead. Now for her normal skill. Esmeralda playstyle is that you build up laceration, then turn them to deep wound, and then go out on the damage. The main way to build laceration is through Grim Carve, which is a 3-hit random dagger. Each hit inflict 1 laceration, and also a small chance of inflicting bleeding. There's also like other skills that also inflict laceration, but this is like the most consistent way. Assuming that there's one single target. If there's like multiple target, you might bring other skill that is a single target to not make sure you miss the laceration on a random person. And once you have the deep wound onto the enemy, then your option to deal damage is either Red Blade, which is a 6-hit, well 12-hit when assuming you have double cast. 12-hit, but the potency is a bit lower than the 8-hit. Blue Blade, which is also a DPS skill to use when you have a deep wound, is an 8-hit though, so it might suffer from damage cap problem, but it has a higher potency than Red Blade, so... Basically, if you think you are hitting cap, then use Red Blade, and if you think you are not hitting the damage cap, then just use Blue Blade instead. And then her ES skill, Lingering Agony, is the second way to inflict deep wound onto the enemy if the first way is too hard, because breaking enemy to inflicting it is a bit hard, but... the skill turns laceration into deep wound assuming you have 9 of it, and it's also inflict 2 on use. So you can just use the EX skill when the enemy has at least 7 laceration, and then this skill will give it the last 2 and then also turn it into deep wound for you. So you don't necessarily have to use this at 9 laceration, you can use this at 7 laceration at least. Now for review, Esmeralda gets 7 out of 10. Problem is she is Hikari, it's like dagger debuff Hikari. The same biggest problem, it takes too long to set up. Yes, but Hikari takes 7 turns, and this is not extreme, but for Esmeralda, you have to spend like 2 turns, okay? You're essentially wasting 2 turns to use to inflict laceration to the enemy. So on turn 3 use ES skill, then you finally get the one on turn 4 onward. So the playstyle for Esmeralda is turn 1, you use the 3 Laceration Dagger, using 1 boost point for that, so 3 plus 1 from the countdown is 4 Laceration. Turn 2, you also inflict another 3 Laceration with the 3 Random Dagger. Turn 3, you use the ES skill, 7 plus 2 from the ES skill is 9, and then the Laceration to turn into Dagger. So you spend 3 turns? You spend 3 turns doing a 3-hit Random Dagger, a 3-hit Random Dagger, and a 1-hit AoE Dagger. It's not really that great of a turn spending usage though. And assuming that you have finished everything on turn 4, congratulations, you can double cast. Your Esmeralda is now double casting with her 12-hit Red Blade. There's another problem though, is that she lacks a form of potency up. She doesn't have potency up, so she very much benefits from someone like Moruso or Solon. But it's better to have like a potency up building yourself, you know, because assuming that you have no potency up at all, the damage that Esmeralda does is not on par with the current day meta DPS, so... And lastly, the biggest problem, the main endgame is Cascade Lock, and Cascade Lock is not at all beneficial to Esmeralda. There's so many ways that Esmeralda can go like very wrongly in a Cascade Lock. Option number 1, there's multiple strong enemies, so you can't inflict laceration on all of them properly. Problem number 2, you have to go to a wave battle, multiple wave, and a laceration with and the deep one reset per new enemy you fight. So it's like extremely hard to setting up the deep one again in the next fight and stuff. Therefore, in conclusion, Esmeralda is fine. She is good enough in normal mode, and she is really bad in wave battle, unless you want to spend like 3 or 4 turns every single battle in the wave battle or something. So therefore, I don't really recommend getting her, unless you like her because she's a villain from Dresser's story. But other than that, it's not really worth it to pull for her. For now, dagger unit wise, Kaina and Patricio is good enough. You want like a stronger dagger DPS in the future, still wait for Locke for the FF6 collab, okay?